So I will be demonstrating this on my page. I have a number 2 pencil. We're going to be drawing these fairly large. So if you put your hand down on your page here, that is about how big I want you to make the head. Okay, I don't want to see a really tiny drawing in the corner of your page. Okay, the bigger that you can draw something, the more detail that you can add into it later. And it's actually going to be easier if you can try to draw things larger, sometimes larger than life, like the eyes we did last week. So I am going to go through the steps. You're going to follow along with me on your page here. Also, if you need to get up to sharpen your pencil, please do it over the trash. All right. And we're going to start with the head shape. Who can tell me what the head shape is? Who remembers?
An upside down egg.
An upside down egg. So somewhere up here, we're going to put a little curve in. We're going to curve that around and try to get the chin just a little pointier than the top part of the head. Just like last week, remember where to hold the pencil when we're sketching, okay? Do not hold your pencil here. This is good for writing, taking notes. For drawing, I want you to try to back away from the end. Braden, I can see you're holding way too close. Back away from the end. Okay, so we're looking for sketchy lines, very light sketchy lines. We can always darken these things and get details later on. But the lighter you draw, the easier you're going to be able to erase. So we have an upside down egg shape, okay? Fairly large, about hand size, okay? Next thing we're going to do is put a vertical line down the middle. So try to split it right in half with a very faint light line. So it's symmetrically left to right, mirror image. All right. The eyes are halfway between the top of the head and the chin. Okay, this is where you're going to need to take a measurement with your fingers. So I would suggest trying to get halfway, put your pencil on the page, and then move that measurement down. Don't change your fingers. And see if that kind of matches up, and try to get a nice halfway point. And we're going to put a light horizontal line across. So that is going to be where the middle of the eyes are. Who remembers how many eye widths you can fit across this? Anybody want to tell me?
5.
5, good. You can fit 5 eye widths across. So this is where you have to kind of try things out and see if you can imagine 5 eye widths. You can try to do a measurement with your fingers if you want. Remember that it's 1 eye width between the 2 eyes here. So if you're drawing fifths, anything separated into fifths, you need to draw how many lines? Any guesses?
4.
Yeah, good. You're going to draw 4 lines in order to get fifths. So I would suggest trying to get maybe 2 lines like this on the sides of that horizontal line. And then just try to take that measurement and move 1 to the right. Take that measurement and move 1 to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4 little dashed lines. Pretty much even. Try to make sure that they're about even. This one's a bit too wide. If you need to erase, it's totally fine. Super easy if you're drawing light. So we know that the 2 actual eyes are going to be here. I'm going to just draw in a little oval and here. So go ahead, connect those areas so we know where the eyes are going to be. We're not going to get too much detail in the eyes themselves because we did that last week. And if you did that last week, you know how to draw eyes. I do want you to put in the irises. Remember, that's the colored part of the eye. And we only see about 2/3 of them in the pupil, just so they don't look like these creepy mask people. We're going to give them a little bit of a hint of life. We could also add in some eyebrows above the eyes if you want. Remember, eyebrows are thicker on the inside part of the eye. They curve down and thin out on the outside part of the eye. So if you want to draw some eyebrows in there, feel free to do that too. But the rest of the detail of the eye, we're not going to worry about today. We're just trying to map out things as best we can. And again, these are very general proportions. Give me an emoji thumbs up if you're all set with that. Got all that in there. Give you another few seconds if you need to catch up. So our tear ducts, for instance, would be somewhere on the inside here. It's a lot of fun detail in the eye that we'll not worry about at the moment. Okay, the next thing is figuring out the nose. Does anybody remember where the nose is going to be on this line?
Almost halfway between the eyes and the chin.
Perfect. Good, Connor. So again, let's try to take a measurement with your fingers. Try to find a halfway point. If that matches up, just go a little bit higher. And I want you to just put a little dash. Don't draw that line all the way across. A little dashed line. The width of a nose, again, general proportions. If we come down from where the tear ducts are, or the corners of the eyes on the inside, and we draw a little line on both sides, that's about how wide a nose is. And this will all change on your genetics. So we have kind of a little tray here. Now I'm going to demonstrate drawing a nose on the side of this for a second. So just watch this. I'm going to recreate that little tray area, a bit larger with that vertical line coming down. Okay. Drawing noses can be difficult because you actually need to simplify it. So it's harder if there's more lines in there or there's more detail, and it looks a lot better if you really simplify it. What I have kids draw is 3 circles. So there's what's called the ball of your nose. That's the big, squishy part in the front. I will literally draw a ball. Okay, don't do anything yet, just watch. So it's 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles. You'll notice that I'm overlapping from the big circle here. Wherever they overlap, that's where I'm going to draw nostrils, and you sometimes see more or less of the nostril depending on who the person is. But I would draw some just little curved lines. The middle part of your nose, your septum, comes a little bit lower usually. And the outer part of your nostrils on the skin usually wraps around the sides here. So it's 3 circles, 2 little curves. Continue that curve for the septum, and then around the edges here. Okay. I would also erase out those original circle lines. Okay, guidelines we can always erase out. So in our actual drawing, if I go here, I'm going to do that again. So ball of the nose, 1, 2, 3 circles. Wherever they overlap, that's going to be our nostrils. The septum is the skin that connects between the nostrils. That usually dips a little bit lower, generally. And then the sides of the nose wrap around. So the biggest mistake I'll see is people will draw 2 hard lines that come straight down from the eyebrows. There is like shading and tone throughout here that you can look at for details, but you never want to draw hard lines that come straight down the middle of the face. Okay, so you should have something that looks like that. Anybody have that successfully done? Cool. And then you can change this. If this is a celebrity or you're trying to draw a friend or a family member or yourself, you can kind of really use a mirror or your camera to really see the differences of this stuff. Okay, let's talk about lips. So we're going to put a dash where the bottom of our bottom lip is. Okay, so halfway, again, between the bottom of your nose and your chin, you need to find a measurement. Try to match that up. Very slightly higher than that. Just put a little dash that goes across. Looks like a very sad human right now. Okay, that's the bottom of your bottom lip. It's down here. It's not the middle of your mouth. Okay, I'm going to go over to my other drawing here. Here's the biggest mistake that I see with lips is kids, for some reason, love drawing these mountain things. Okay, lips generally are not this pointy up here. They're definitely not a straight line that goes across. Some top lips are thicker, some bottom lips are thicker. That all depends on, you know, your genetics and how you're born and what your parents look like and grandparents. But the bottom of your bottom lip, so this line that we've drawn, I just want you to give this a slight curve. Looks like our person's smiling, but this is not the middle of your mouth. This is the bottom of the bottom lip. Okay, slight curve there. The width of your mouth, generally speaking, corners of your mouth match up with your pupils. So if you draw some lines straight down from your, don't draw a line, just kind of imagine a line coming down. We could put in what looks like little dimples here. Generally speaking, that's about how wide your mouth is going to be. This all depends on what you look like. So across here is where the middle of your mouth is going to be. I'm going to start, let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start with a little bump. And I'm going to curve that a little bit down on the sides. And then maybe give it a slight little turn up. I'm going to stop before I get to those marks and just actually erase those marks. Okay. I never connect this line to this line. So keep these open here and here. So your bottom lip is here, your top lip is here, and then we're going to draw your upper lip with the little teardrop shape. So instead of doing that with these crazy peaks, we're just going to do a slight version of that that's stretched out a little bit and comes down. This one, if you want to connect to the corners of your mouth, you can. Okay, and that's a much more realistic looking pair of lips than that thing. If you want a cartoon, you want to draw cartoons, totally fine if you want to go that route. But we're trying for realism as best we can. Okay, give me an emoji thumbs up if you have that drawing so far. Or a real thumbs up. I can see some of you. Cool. So the little teardrop shape thing, on your upper lip is called a philtrum. I would just maybe put that in as just a really light, like hook, like a backwards letter J, just to show that's there. And a lot of people have that. Okay, let's talk about ears for a second. Ears are a lot larger than you think. Eventually, if we're drawing somebody famous and they have long hair and they're covering their ears, you don't have to worry about drawing ears. But I just want to show you kind of what ears look like. So generally speaking, and you can see this because I'm wearing glasses, my glasses have to hook onto something. So they go from my eyes over the top of my ears. Ears are somewhere, the starting point is somewhere between your eyebrow and your eye. So I'm going to put a little dash on each side of the head where the top of the ear is. And the bottom of the ear usually lines up with your nose. So I'm going to put a dash on the sides where the bottom of the ears are. Okay, just some guidelines to know where we're going to draw them. The big thing I see with ears is kids love drawing butterflies, butterfly wings for ears. Okay, that's not a good ear. Okay, ears generally don't look like that. You do have, some people have lobes. I actually have attached lobes on my ears. I don't have any lobes here. They're streamlined for wind resistance. Some people have lower ear lobes. You can kind of feel if you have a lobe or not. The shape I would suggest you drawing is like a half of a peanut. So it's more simple version of that. So there's the right side and there's the left side. Okay. If you split a peanut in half vertically and move the shells across, that's a little bit more of the shape. Not the crazy like bump out thing like that. Okay. If you're wearing earbuds, there's that little piece of skin in front that's holding your earbud kind of in place. I would put that in as just a little curve. Oops, lost my screen. Okay, so this little curve here on both sides. Again, ears, the less you draw, the better they're going to look. And then the top kind of curves up and around here, kind of keep that disconnected. There might even be a little bit of a bump here. So it's just like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you have something that looks like that. Give me an emoji thumbs up if you got some ears on your person. A couple of you did. Awesome. Okay, one thing that wasn't on that chart that we looked at is neck thickness. So neck thickness, again, we're doing general proportions, changes on who the person is. But, oh, actually, before we do neck, we need to do chin for a second. So chin shape also changes genetically on what you look like. My wife is Swedish and her dad has a very square jaw. So she has kind of a square jaw, so she inherited that. So what that would look like on this drawing is if these came down a little bit straighter and then curved in, she has kind of a flatter chin. That's kind of what her chin looks like. Sometimes these won't be as drastic edges and it might look a little bit more curved. So some people's chins might kind of swoop in. Okay. I would like you to just draw any kind of chin in there. Follow your guidelines for that bottom of the upside down egg and try to get them symmetrical left to right so they look kind of similar on both sides. Again, draw very lightly. We're not pressing down this hard. You're pressing down that hard. Back away from your pencil. Hold it back here. Just draw just a shape of a chin, whatever shape you want. and just following that guideline. Okay, now we can talk about necks. So necks are never as wide, generally, as wide as the ears themselves. I guess if you're like a bodybuilder, that might be kind of okay. They're never really thin either. So you never want to start them like here, lollipop person. Okay, so they're somewhere between the difference there. Boys' necks usually are a little bit straighter, so they might come down kind of like this. Girls' necks can tend to have a bit of a swoop to them, so they might be a little bit more like this shape. So it really depends, up to you how you want to draw those in. So we're going to draw about that width. You don't want to go to the corners of your jaw. You don't want it too thin. Somewhere like that. And then what I like to do is just kind of end it with like a t-shirt, just to get like some shoulders drawn in there. So underneath your chin, we're going to draw a wide U. Okay. And then from these corners, we're just going to slope downwards. Okay. That neck looks maybe a little too tall, but I could raise the t-shirt line up. That might help. Again, drawing lightly is super good, so you can make some changes if you need to. Okay, just a little bit of a t-shirt edge here. One thing I didn't talk about was the width of your shoulders. So shoulders are actually pretty wide. You can almost fit a head width. So if you take your width of your head and put it next to your head, that's about how wide a shoulder is on both sides. So shoulders are a lot wider. A lot of people will draw them like really skinny and scrunched up and like way too small, which doesn't look great. All right. Anybody have anything close to this bald, beautiful person? We're going to talk about hair. That's the last thing we're going to have time for today. This class is over in, wow, 8 minutes. This went fast. Okay, so just watch for a second. I'm going to demonstrate some hair things on a different sheet of paper. So hair can be really fun and challenging to draw depending on what it looks like. There's like 1,000 different ways to have hairstyles. So if I drew a quick oval head shape, and get the eye line in there, maybe some ears. The top of the head that we've drawn, this part, that's like the top of your skull. Most people hair come out from that unless you have like a really close haircut. If you had short hair, for instance, you're going to see your hairline. So my hair is gelled, kind of pulled back. So I see a hairline here that's down from where my skull is. And that comes down. Even on my screen here, I can see sides. I can see hair on the sides of my head without turning my head. And then I have a part that's kind of over here. So here's my original skull. Here's my hair coming away from that and on the front. If you have long hair, okay, you're not going to probably see your ears unless you have your hair tucked back. You might still have a part, maybe you have a middle part. Your hair comes down on the sides, comes away from your scalp. Get the shoulders in here. And this hair might go down either behind your shoulders or maybe it comes in front of your shoulders. You can do either one. So it really depends on who the person is. The hair makes the drawing. The hair like really cements almost who the person is just by adding hair. So I will leave the hair up to you. If you wanted to try to draw your own hair on this person, feel free to do that. Just use your screens. So my hairline is somewhere down here. And I have a part somewhere over here. The less lines you draw of hair, the more realistic it's going to look. Don't sit there and draw a ton of lines for the hair. My hair is actually pulled, it gelled back on the sides too. And it's parted on the left side. So I would just draw that simple, that much hair. So here's the original scalp head shape. It's within here. So don't draw your hair too tightly to your scalp. If you want to erase that guideline from the beginning, you could do that too. I also have like a mustache, so that covers a lot of this area. And a beard. Kind of fills in that. So the hair really, really makes the person, from this like weird bald baby to something that looks a little bit more human-like. So hair can be pretty fun to draw depending on who you're trying to draw.